This Ali d'Oro is amazing. It's a delicious dessert wine, and I wanted to highlight it by doing something that has apples, cranberries, and a lovely bread pudding made with these beautiful croissants. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just cut my croissants in some cubes. Now this recipe lends itself really well to all sorts of fruits, so you can do pretty much anything. But with this Ali d'Oro, I love the apple flavor and I love that cranberry, just that little bit of tartness that comes out in it. It's just beautiful. So for the topping, I am going to use apples and cranberries, and I make a lovely caramel sauce that goes in the bottom of the pan. Then when this is all over, we flip it over and it's just a gorgeous presentation. Okay, so my 6 croissants are all cut, they are ready, and now I want to make my custard. So in my bowl, I have 5 eggs, large eggs. Anytime your recipe just says eggs, that means large eggs. I want to break up those yolks, and then to that, I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon, about a half teaspoon. And a little bit of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract. I just happen to have the bean paste and I love the way that it tastes. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of that. And always mix through really, really well so that you don't have pockets of one flavor in one spot. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, just a pinch, maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon. I can never remember if a pinch is 1/8 or 1/16. One is a pinch, one is a dash. All right, now I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of either a half and half or a milk. And I'm just using a whole milk for this. I think that's really rich enough, but if you want a richer bread pudding, of course, by all means, use half and half or even whipping cream. Now to this, I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of this Ali d'Oro. That's going to give it a really wonderful flavor. All right, so let's mix this all together. I just want to toss all that bread in and give it a stir to make sure everything is coated well. Now, as I stir this up, it's all coated, it's getting soft, all filled with the cream and egg mixture. Ah, beautiful. Now let's head over to the stove and make a little caramel topping that we're gonna put in the bottom of our pan so that when we invert this, the caramel is right on top. So I have 1 stick of butter, and to that I'm going to add 1 cup of brown sugar and then a little bit of cinnamon. And I'll let this simmer until all of the sugar is melted and the flavors have melded together. So I put all of my caramel in the bottom of a round pan. Now you can use any kind of pan for this. You can even use a casserole dish, and you don't have to invert it. If you don't invert your bread pudding, make sure that you mix any fruits through the bread so that it's cooking all the way through, and then you'll have that instead of having people dig all the way down to the bottom to get to it. You'll see what I mean when I flip the other one over. So I've got an apple here, and I just want to take about half of an apple, and I'm going to take the core out, and then I just want to slice it up. I'm going to leave the peel on. Some nice thick slices, about 1/4 inch will do. I love the sound of a nice crisp apple. All right, now we just want to put our apple slices right in here. There we go. And then I want to sprinkle in some dried cranberries. Now I also love this with fresh fruit. I love to make it with peaches and blueberries, fresh cherries. So good. Sometimes I'll even substitute some rum in it instead of the Ali d'Oro and use bananas and make a banana rum So delicious. And now I just want to put my bread right in there and gently place it on so that you don't lose that pattern. Spread it all out. And make sure you have all the custard and the bread out of your bowl. Now, when I make this, I really like to let it sit overnight so that all of that bread is really soaked well. But you don't have to do that. If you can just let it sit for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, just to make sure it's all melded, all really moistened. Then we're gonna put this in a 350-degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. And I'll be right back with a delicious finished one. So as you can see, I made this particular one in a little bit larger pan so that I had the apples on the edge, on the outside, and the cranberries more in the center. This is such a delicious bread pudding, and I hope you'll really like it. So let's just give ourselves a little piece here on the plate. Oh, look at that. The striation is just perfect. It's so delicious. You know, with just a little less sugar, I'd eat this for breakfast too. Well, maybe I'd eat it for breakfast anyway. All right, so let's pour a little bit of this Ali d'Oro. Look at that golden, beautiful color. This is such an incredible wine. Sweet, it's like honey. It's just beautiful and so delicious with this amazing dish.